up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another review, and this time we're going to be talking about Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, the first 5 original pilot TV films, as well as the first season in general.
Bloody Jacob.
Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
In terms of a plan, we fight.
The sexy, awesome, exclusive content.
And that's right, we're going to be talking about the first season of Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, as well as touching on at least a little bit the 5 pilot TV films that preceded it, which include Hercules and the Amazon Women, Hercules and the Lost Kingdom, and the Circle of Fire, In the Underworld, and In the Maze of the Minotaur. So yeah, I have the first season here, the original, thick style set, glorious, isn't it? Again, I much for both this and Xena. I just started Xena season 1 after finishing Hercules season 1. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Any time I have the chance, I much rather prefer these original thick sets of TV shows. Back when they still put things like this out, fold out and have images and everything like that. Descriptions, little write-ups. You know what I mean? It's just so much better, much more of a collector's piece. Just really cool to look at. Same thing with some of the old Buffy sets too, and Supernatural when it started anyway. But yeah, and something else. They have cheaper slim sets of both Hercules and Xena. Full series in one thing, which is cool. But I think it's something weird that's either done with the aspect ratio, the coloring's changed, something along those lines. That's kind of screwy with it, and I like getting the ones with the original features as well. But yeah, so anyway, I started watching Hercules: Legendary Journeys some time ago, and it's somewhat a product of its era. It has cheese, it has camp, and everything like that, but it doesn't really deny that. It plays into its hand, and I think it's honestly, I ended up loving it. The first film, The Amazon Women, is a bit bare bones. It is a bit plain, even compared to the rest of the pilot films, and especially compared to the show. But I think it just got better and better. Every subsequent TV film, for the most part anyway. Even though my favorites, I think, are Circle of Fire and Underworld, and then the show just really brought it to the next level. And you can say what you want about Kevin Sorbo personally as a person. I know he has some pretty skewed political views, to say the least. But in terms of his role as Hercules, whether I disagree with him or not, and I definitely do, I do think he is great in the role of Hercules. I actually love him in the role of Hercules. I think he's really enjoyable. I think he's really endearing. Sure, you can say, okay, maybe he's not the best actor in the world, but I think he's actually pretty good. I think I don't think anyone else could have brought anything more to the role, honestly, at the time. And I enjoyed the films for what they were. The Amazon one, like I said, it's a bit basic. These villagers are in panic because they think it's, they're panicking against monsters, but it's this group of women, Hercules and his friend Iolaus. They investigate and everything like that. And of course, Hercules is plagued because he is the son of, Zeus, born from a human woman. So Hera has vowed vengeance, so she's constantly trying to kill Hercules and destroy his life and everything like that. They get to the Lost Kingdom, and it's funny in some of these films you see Lucy Lawless. She's in the first film, The Amazon Women, but of course she's not Xena. She's playing some other sort of character that we never see again. Then you see the actress who plays Gabrielle, I think, is in The Lost Kingdom. of course, she's not Gabrielle, but she's a separate character you can only see the one time. It's kind of funny. I think it just shows, Sam Raimi, who worked on the show, as well as people like Rob Tapert and everything, they ended up having like kind of a wheelhouse of actors they like to use in their projects. Bruce Campbell included, who later plays the King of Thieves in both shows. So it's fun to me, but it's just kind of funny to see them, not be who they're known for in that same universe. But usually at the time I can tell it was probably spaced out enough, and the characters usually look and act pretty differently, so most people probably didn't notice a whole lot. Lost Kingdom is alright. Circle of Fire is honestly where it really started picking up for me. Now I'm not going to get too specific in this video about, it would take too long to talk about everything, but I wanted to touch on a good portion of it anyway. I really like the dynamic between Hercules and his father Zeus, played by Anthony Quinn, throughout the movies. And the climax, the main scene of Circle of Fire, when Hercules and Zeus actually sort of have a confrontation, and you see Zeus, shooting at him with his lightning and everything, and then Hercules kind of just bashing through the rocks and everything to get to him. The relationship kind of strains. Hercules is left wondering, okay, am I actually immortal or am I immortal? He wants to know just for the fact of what he's saying what to do, and he wants to understand who he is, but Zeus is kind of denying that to him through his certain reasons. So I thought that was all really interesting and pretty a good basis point for being invested. And then in the underworld, it was just a lot of fun. Okay, I enjoyed the sets they had for this underworld. The big hellhound, three-headed dog type thing. It was all practical effects for the most part. And yeah, you can tell it's kind of like puppet animatronic sort of thing, but it looked good enough for a TV budget at the time. I felt like the Maze of the Minotaur, you could tell it's just like a head on a guy's body, and that's pretty much what it was, even in the story. But it still was presented the right way. And I also like the actress they had playing Dayanara, in the films as well. I like that as actually a continuing thread throughout them. And of course, at the beginning of the show, Dayanara and Hercules' kids are actually killed by Hera. These flying fireballs and everything. They pretty much just like zone in on him and burn him to death. So yeah, somewhat bold and unexpected for a like a kind of a family action adventure show. What we think to kind of take that angle to kick off the series. But it's pretty honest, to a lot of these mythical figures. They're kind of like Greek tragedies and everything like that. So it works for the content. But still, it's kind of surprising. Oh, they actually did that. Of course, Hercules is just sort of like on a war path after that, but eventually he finds helping people, and what his real purpose could be is to fight against the forces of evil, and not just focus on kind of his own inner turmoil, turn it and channel it into something greater within himself, and pretty inspiring, I guess. And I enjoyed the show quite a bit. The first season was only 13 episodes. The rest of them ended up being like 22 or 24, except the final 6th season, which only turned into 8 because of disputes between Kevin Sorbo and the network. But we can talk more about that whenever we do review the final season. But I thought it was a really enjoyable first season. I think some of the best episodes. And the comedy was good in this too. I really think that I love how they brought Michael Hurst back as Aeolus. I think their chemistry and their bromance dynamic is one of the things that holds the show together. So I was glad they brought him in as a mainstay of the show. He's in it more and more as it goes. I enjoyed the Holder episode especially. Festival was good. Ares introduction I thought was presented really nicely. I like the premise of As Darkness Falls. March to Freedom was good. I liked them all. Pride Comes Before a Brawl. The whole thing with Aeolus becomes prideful after some initial successes, and he decides to race Hercules instead of Thrace because he feels like he's under Hercules' shadow and everything. Of course, we'll talk about the Xena introduction in a second, but I also really like the Gladiator episode. Tony Todd guest starred. And The Vanishing Dead is a good, kind of in between. Okay, we kind of want to get back to the Xena arc here, but Vanishing Dead is still a fairly unique episode for the first season. I'm dealing with the dead spirits of soldiers and the one Hercules had known, and now it's kind of torn this family apart. Might go to war. But what I really dug, of course, was the Xena episodes. Episode 9, The Warrior Princess, Episode 12, The Gauntlet, and Unchained Heart, which then lead into her own spin-off show. And I just thought they handled Xena really, really nicely. I wouldn't expect it for a show like this to actually have layers and character development, but they kind of do for her. She starts off as like this warmonger, warlord raider, and you slowly see she starts to have different viewpoints than some of her men do, and she's sort of influenced by Hercules' good morals and everything like that. And I thought it actually worked really nicely. Some really terrific battles and fight scenes, for the budget the show had, I thought, for the time. Of course, some of the fight choreography is a bit, cheesy or clunky, if you want to say, but I think it flows really nicely the longer the show goes on. You get used to it, and you can have a lot of fun. And I like the Hercules and Xena romance too, although I know they kind of both go in different directions. I thought it was a good jumping off point for both of them. They both learned something from each other. Lucy Lawless does a really fucking awesome job as Xena. I can't believe there are like a few others that were considered before her. Luckily she got it. And of course, Ares is kind of being propped up as the main villain for both shows, somewhat. Although I do hope we get a resolution with Hercules and Xena Hercules and Hera before it abruptly ends. I'd like to see some kind of physical human manifestation form of Hera. But we'll see what they did with the few seasons after this. But yeah, as the first season, I really enjoyed it. Again, say what you will about Kevin Sorbo, whether you disagree with him or not. But in this role, I think he gives a genuinely pretty good performance. He is endearing and really easy to like and root for as Hercules, I think. I really don't think there's anyone that could have done a better job. I'll say it. It does kind of aggravate me, because he does annoy the shit out of me on Twitter and everything like that. But you don't have to read what he posts, I guess. I don't know. But luckily for me, even though I'm frustrated the shit out of him, I've been frustrated to shit, by some of the things he said and kind of adding fuel to the already toxic fire. I've been able to look past it a bit, or at least separate it and say, okay, I like Hercules as a character, Kevin Sorbo I'm not so sure of. But I'm a fan of his, at least professionally. So yeah, first season of Hercules, really good start. Curious to see how the longer seasons do. So yeah, if I'd rate the first season of Hercules, I'd give it a B+ for sure. The films, hard to rate them, because they were just kind of the prologue basically to the show. First two were fine. Circle, Fire, and Underworld I'd probably give like a B or so too. Maze of the Minotaur maybe a B-, because there's some weird stock footage used in that one as well, I forgot to mention. And the show I'd give, like I said, a B+ to high 88, or like a high 88, 87, 88, 89%. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.